Hi, I'm Dwyffle. I've got some different lighting. This one's not pink. I say I've got some lighting. It's literally a little selfie light that clips on your phone. So professional. I want to take my socks off. Sorry. Didn't need to include that, but I might. So today I want to talk about PMDD. So I don't know how many of you may have heard of PMDD, but I believe it's a bigger problem than the world thinks. Ignore any of the floating dust orbs. I literally have every other light off. So, PMDD, what is it? So PMDD, okay, so because I've done some research for this, I will be looking at my notes a lot, so apologies for that, but otherwise I don't know what the hell I'm going to say. So, what is PMDD? PMDD is a mental health issue. It's described as a very severe form of PMS. It causes a range of emotional and physical symptoms during the week or two before your period, so also known as the luteal phase. So the symptoms include, but are not limited to, feeling depressed, severe irritability, anger that may affect others, lack of interest in daily activities and your relationships, appetite changes, mood swings, sleep issues, as in too much or unable to sleep, bloating, breast tenderness and headaches. I realise those are all PMS as well, but they still are included in this list. Feelings of hopelessness and or worthlessness, increased anxiety and or tension, problems with focus and concentration, fatigue, lethargy, lack of energy, etc. And probably the worst one is suicidal thoughts and ideations. So, CBC News, I've found a few links, so I will put them in the description. So the CBC News link says to be diagnosable, you'd have to have at least 5 of these symptoms from this list to be diagnosed with PMDD. And obviously that is quite the list. And I do realise that some people may say, yeah, but that's just PMS, everyone gets a bit moody, gets a bit irritable, gets a bit fat. But the kicker here is it's the severity of it. Like, it's the severity and the addition of the more serious feelings that I listed that changes the potential diagnosis. And from research, it seems it affects less than 10% of people who menstruate. However, just from me knowing about it and reading about people having similar symptoms to me and not knowing about PMDD online and stuff, I truly believe that is a much bigger number. And I'm just going to briefly generalise by gender here to say that women are constantly told to stop being dramatic and stop overreacting about our pain and our feelings and stuff and just to carry on with it. And unfortunately, in reference to periods and stuff as well, like a lot of it, we are still expected to go to work, to carry on, to not moan about it, when it can be so severe for some people. I'm sure, obviously, there is the more physical side of things with endometriosis, PCOS and stuff like that. I find personally PMDD is a lot more to do with the emotional side, but it's still the same severity as those things, I believe. And unfortunately, a lot of the time, the people saying this can be other women who have their own experience with menstruation, but they may not have as severe symptoms as another person. So then that person that thinks theirs are severe because they are, their symptoms, they then think they are being dramatic and they're just, they think they just can't handle it as well as other people, when in reality it is more likely to be one of these conditions. So if you are experiencing a number of these symptoms, or even just one of them but it's really severe, I would advise you to go and get it checked out. I have personally been put on the contraceptive pill for it, and fortunately that has worked for me and I haven't had any major side effects from that pill, but I realise obviously there are loads of potential side effects with that pill and most people would not want to go on that. So there are other options. They are kind of, a bit deep, like SSRIs and stuff. I've recently seen maybe using saffron as like a natural aid to it, so I'm kind of curious about that, but because I'm on the pill and it's not really given me any complications and it has helped me, I probably will stick with that. But I am going to give you a little bit of a breakdown to the best of my ability so that you are prepared if you do take this to a medical professional, and you are prepared to fight with the doctors, because Lord knows I was. So what causes PMDD is unfortunately not solidified. The exact cause is not known. However, hormone changes are generally believed to be the root. A big part of this being progesterone and estrogen fluctuations. They are both produced by the ovaries and the levels fluctuate during a regular menstrual cycle. And PMDD is believed to be triggered by these fluctuations. Definitely going to read the next bit because it's a bit sciencey. So they interact with brain chemicals that can influence your mood. Specifically, estrogen and progesterone can alter the production of effectiveness of the neurotransmitters, including serotonin and dopamine, which makes sense why we get so sad. And in my links, there is more info on that on the Very Well Health link. So I do suggest making your own notes, listing your symptoms that you have and how severely they are affecting you every month. Noting that it is during your luteal phase, I do advise tracking for a few months so that you have that evidence to show, because PMDD unfortunately can get misdiagnosed as a mood disorder such as bipolar sometimes. I've heard that happen. I've had conversations with people where they're like, I actually think it's PMDD, but I've been diagnosed with this. So just be so prepared to punch that medical professional in the face. I'm not condoning violence, but you know, if you need to. And just from my research, I've looked at some non-medical ways to help apparently, and they are just, I would say, quite like obvious things in a way, but I'll say them anyway. So tracking your cycle so you know when it's going to happen. Unfortunately for me, I'm very irregular, so it actually took me a long time to realise this was related to my cycle. But if you have it tracked, then you know when it's likely to come. You can start recognising your symptoms and know why that's happening to you. And then a few things that most things say about health, so like eating healthier, reducing alcohol intake, decreasing caffeine, exercising regularly, and meditation to manage stress. I'm not a big meditator, but I have done it a few times. I would say eating healthier definitely helps. Like I have found when I consciously eat healthier, my moods are better. I am much calmer and less ragey. So yeah, I do suggest that one. I also go to the gym quite regularly, and I do think that helps me a lot as well, because it kind of gives me something to focus on other than what's in my head. And it's good for you, obviously. And that is apparently all I wrote down in my little notebook. So I hope this has helped you a little bit. I hope this has brought some light to PMDD and what it is. And if you have it, that's what it could be. It has a reason, you know? There's a reason why you might feel like this on a regular basis. So yeah, if this helps one person, that's great. Yeah, and even if like maybe someone around you, you think maybe you have this, if they're really, really down around their period, then you know it could be this. And I do think it needs to be talked about more. I think way more people need to know about it. I think everyone who menstruates should know about it. I think it should be added into like your education, you know, when you learn all that stuff. I'm so out of breath in this, I really don't know why. I'm very hot right now. This tiny little light is boiling. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Well, not really a fun one, is it? But I hope you have learned something at least. And good luck if you do think you have this and you take it to a medical professional. I hope you get the help you need. I certainly am better off for getting it sorted. And yeah, just be so prepared, because, you know, medical professionals love to disregard these kinds of issues. Okay.